Clothes uncovered. They ain't cuffing my clothes, they tugging. Putting up numbers, 99 problems, and I still kept it 100. Hold up. Yeah.
We'll see if it works in a second. Hey, what's up? You know what we'll do? We'll do right. Watch this, my friends. Let's go nuts for a second. Oh, wrong one. Let's go crazy right there. Hey, what's up? What's up? And we're back. Hello. My name is Kenny Glick. There's so many different directions we could take this show this morning, but if you don't know me, I'll give you a brief history because we only got a half an hour to spend. I guess we could spend as much time as we want, but inevitably this will be a half an hour or an hour-long program. We're still up. It's up for grabs. Usually I have to go an hour because I like to rant and rave. So I'll quick introduce myself if you don't know who I am. My name is Kenny Glick. I've been trading since the womb. That's right. My dad is Big Al, Alan Glick. Maybe you know him, famous financier from the 1970s. Google him. We've been involved in the markets since basically I was born. And I didn't think I'd be in this industry. I was more of a singer, dancer, stand-up comic kind of guy. I went to school for television and radio. And long story short, I became a stockbroker. It was awful. Right out of the movie Boiler Room and Wolf of Wall Street. I lived that life. And it wasn't the life I wanted to lead. And my nickname was Mushroom because they just kept me in the dark and fed me shit. And that was my career. And I was very jaded and cynical and very, very I saw the sausage being made first. It's not where you want to be. I realized, quickly that this was a scammy type of operation. The IPOs were garbage. The companies weren't real. And, again, when we would pitch stocks, my boss would tell me specifically, don't put this in your father's account. After they were done telling me for 3 hours how this is going to be a stock that changes my clients' lives and it's going to be the greatest thing ever. Just don't buy it for yourself or your friends or family, especially your father. But you just told me, and I just knew something was up. And then, I made it there about a year and a half, going from firm to firm, different scams, different IPOs, different locations. They would just change locations just to stay ahead of the law, which was the idea. And then really what it came down to is we actually had a stock that was making money for some of my clients. And I raised my hand. I was like, can we sell? And you couldn't hit the open market even when you wanted to sell something. So if you wanted to sell something out of your client's account, you actually had to call somebody else to sell it to. That's not how it's supposed to work. So I was like, all right, enough of this bullshit. And, I threatened them. I had a few clients I became friendly with because that's the kind of guy I am. And I was like, listen, I'm going to tell these guys to, start an investigation. Whoop. Next thing you know, since I said that word, I mentioned SEC. Next thing I'm called into the office. I'm like, what'd you say? Do you really mean that? And I was threatened with violence, no doubt. And that was my last day as a broker. And fast forward about 6 months later, I was at a Pearl Jam concert and I saw my old fraternity brother. And I was telling the tale about my venture into the stock market. And he's like, oh, well, that's weird. Coincidentally, I'm starting my own firm. I'm like, oh, God. Let me guess, IPO, small cap? He's like, no. He's like, you can trade your own account now. It's amazing. Something called Small Order Execution System, SOES. If you guys remember, 1996, 97. He's like, we're learning a new system, and everyone's trading their own accounts. You're basically your own broker, your own trader, and you do whatever you want. And it's like the Wild West. There's a lot of stuff that we're being showed, just glitches. We're able to use market makers. We're able to become a market maker for the first time. So this is the first time in history that the common folk were able to access level twos and see order flow. And that is when the idea of tape reading was a thing. Tape reading, you'd actually see order flow. So let me show you my screen. Again, you guys see it. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger here. Let me put my little face. Oop, wrong one. Beep. Let me get my face in the corner because I know you guys love me. I want to see my face. Look at this face. So what you're looking at right now, and these are market maker boxes if you don't know, level twos, right? Back in the day, you see, now all you see is what's called ECNs, right? Back in the day, Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, they would show their face. And if Goldman Sachs was going high bid, meaning bid the stock, right? they would go high bid. And if you saw orders going through, you'd have your order flow here, time and sales. And you would see if buyers started to show up, Goldman Sachs would go high bid, basically raising his hand saying, hey, I'm here looking to buy. And all you had to do was follow the market maker and get familiar with who the axe was or who the hammer was that day. So, and then we basically were inventing this as we were going along. We were able to invent a program where you would called offer swipe, and you would just send one order, and it would send orders to everybody that was on the offer. And at the time, they were obligated to sell you however many shares they had on the offer. So if you knew Goldman Sachs was going high bid, you'd swipe the offers, have Goldman Sachs chasing go high bid, and then there was another system called SelectNet where you could send it all to Goldman Sachs. So we basically started our own momentum by offer swiping. Knew Goldman Sachs had our bid, and then we'd all slam Goldman Sachs and make eighths and quarters all day. 3,000 shares on a quarter, you're making $750. And we were doing this 3, 4, 5 times a day. And I was like, what are we doing here? Because you really weren't in the market. We were just finding ways to manipulate. Finally, we were the manipulators, not the manipulated. And we got good at it. We got good at manipulating some of these market makers. And it was the first time ever. So there was a point where we were doing this so well that Goldman Sachs and Merrill Lynch and all these market makers, they started getting angry. And they started petitioning for laws to be changed because of us. We were screwing with them. Erroneous orders, because there were so many orders going through. Sometimes you get printed below the bid or above the offer, and they would try to break the trade because there were so many glitches in the system back in the day. And all we were doing was exploiting all the glitches. And that's where I was born into this. So I've been staring at these screens since inception of day trading. They call me the grandfather because I'm beyond the father. I'm now the grandfather of the industry because there's been 2 or 3 generations of traders that have come after me. So taking everything I've learned from market making and the beginning of trading, and then factoring in all those beautiful words like manipulation and rigged, it is. And circa 1999, 2000, I became a real fan of shorting stocks because I came from an old school, jaded, cynical nature of the market anyway, because of what I saw. And just it's the way I am, right? So when stocks were going crazy on the upside, all I'm thinking was, if you saw a stock go up 4 points on the day, they had to either have a takeover or they cured cancer. You never seen stocks do that. 8%, 12%. That was what a stock would do in a year. And suddenly we're seeing it every day. Like, what is going on here? This is crazy. And my default was it's not going to end well. And I started shorting stocks. And I was getting killed. All the money I had ever made, I had a knack for trading. I did all right out of the gate. Not most people could say that. But then I got caught up because I believed my own bullshit that I was invincible, shorting stocks because what I thought was going to happen. I'll get to why that doesn't work in a second. Finally, the market did crash, 2000 dot-coms, and all the money that I was losing I made back and then some. And I was forever born into shorting. I loved shorting. But what I've learned, shorting is short-lived and you're going to die. So fast forward, I want to get to the VWAP because let's fast forward circa, we had, obviously our 08, 09 into capitalism, made some money on that move. And then the market starts to rally. By the way, I'm short the Qs right this second, as a matter of fact. Let me just show you why. Let's keep this on the screen. Right now, I'm short the Qs because what you're looking at is the 1 minute and what we've invented, this multi-day VWAP. So when stocks get below the blue line and break the orange line, more often than not, you start a downtrend. And we've been short from this little breakdown right here. I'll show you where I draw these red lines. Like I said, doing a half an hour, I could do a half an hour standing on my head. We might go a little bit longer today for the inauguration of our show here. But fast forward to 08, 09, I did all right because I love shorting. Didn't do as well as I thought, and I was all angry about it. Anger is not a good emotion to have when you're trading. So I spent 2012, 2013, 2014, and some of 2015 getting my ass kicked. Shorting, not giving up, shorting, didn't care, shorting everything. Shorting the market, shorting the Qs, shorting the SPYs. even though the market was telling me I was wrong. Didn't care. No one was going to tell me what to do. I needed to make all that. It was like a makeup trade, right? So I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to make back or make what I thought I should have made when the market was going down. Here's another hint. You know when you should short stocks? When they're actually going down, not when they're going up. And I sat there fighting this losing battle for 3 years until I was like, you know what? I'm going to be broke. And I just quit. And I wandered the city. No joke. Literally wandered the city pretending I had a job. Didn't tell my wife about this. I don't even want to give you the number, how much money I went through. Blew it. And I just would go to movies. I'd wander the city. I basically did nothing. And one day I sat back down at the desk. I launched the website again, got everybody back together. And, I've always been a fan of Brian Shannon, listen to the way he talks. I liked it was very specific when he was talking about VWAP. I never understood why VWAP was so important. And then one of our members, he's not around too much anymore, or not at all really. His name's Zach Hurwitz. I'll always give this guy credit. Zach watched me trade, and I trade pivot points of candlesticks, right? So let's get rid of the red lines. So the red lines are my way I trade. So I look at pivot points. Where does the stock pivot? So got a new high, and that was it. Up here, new highs. I just look at specific price. So I don't trade moving averages. It's VWAP, and that's it. The red lines are the specific prices where stocks bounce. And I'm talking about specific. If we traded an eighth of a point, I'd be going to the eighth. But now that we trade in pennies, I go right to the penny. I want to know what exact price the stock held and then held again and then rallied, because that's significant. So I draw a line there. So what I do, and what I was doing for about a year, was just using these red lines and pivot points. And one of my favorite trades is something called the fake out, shakeout, breakout, faux show bro, right? So I know I'm talking a lot, but all this stuff will become monotonous and redundant inevitably, because it's the same trade for me every day now since more or less 2015. So it's 10 years, the same trade over and over again. We had 7 of them show up today. All 7 has worked, and one's in the process of working right now. If anyone's interested, it's SLDE. We're still long this one, SLDE. That's it's a fairly new stock, so be careful. It's not a lot of volume going on it, but I'll show it to you in a second. So just to sum up the story, is Zach was watching me trade and where I drew my lines and where I thought stocks would retrace to and back and forth. And he said, do you know that you're pretty much plotting VWAP? And he was using multiple time frame VWAP before me, because he caught on from Brian, and he started watching this, and he's like, hey, you're doing it almost like it's like inert or by default. He's like, why don't you just let the charts do the work for you? So I threw VWAP on there. That's the blue line. And what we came up with was just give me an idea of where today's VWAP is and prior day. We started calling the multi-day, and we just expanded on it. So what you're looking at right now is the chart. You look at my screen is basically the same every day. It's today's VWAP, a few red lines from some pivots, blue line and an orange line. Today's blue line, bottom line. The bottom line is the orange line. And what I do as for a living, right, is the same trade now going on 30 years, because the trade has worked prior to me using VWAP exclusively. And by the way, when I first heard about using VWAP as a day trading tool, I said, who the hell gives a shit about VWAP? And Zach said, apparently you do. And I just started using it exclusively just to see if I could do it. And now it's 10 years later, and that's all I do. So the idea is that the trade that I mentioned briefly before was called a fake out, shakeout, breakout, faux show bro, right? Now, this trade has been working since one of the first trades I ever saw work. So let's assume you don't see anything on the screen. No blue line, no orange line, right? And this is the QQQ this morning, right? Now, I'm not going to get into whether or not you thought the market was going to be down today because of World War III starting. You know the market doesn't really go down on bullshit news like that, right? It actually needs to go down organically. I'm what they call the most bullish bear on earth, because I've learned the hard way from getting my ass kicked almost in 2000, getting my ass kicked for 3 years, and pretty much getting my ass kicked. Most of those trades that I've blown accounts up have been shorts because unlimited risk and limited reward. It's a bad way to live, especially in a perpetual bull market. So this trade, the reason I have found it and the reason it's such a special thing to me is that it used to make a victim of me. And now I understand market mechanics so well that it makes so much sense. And then I took this trade that's been working for 30 years and I have morphed it with the VWAP. So think of it as a 30-year career that's been marred by, massive highs and gut-wrenching lows. Everything I've learned, I've taken what works the best, and VWAP confirms the trade for us on a daily basis. So you don't know a trade's going to work. Nobody knows. It's a woozy, it's a wazi, it's a fuguzi, it's a fuguzi. Nobody knows. Nobody knows shit. So you have an inkling of what you think you're going to do today, right? And that's where it starts, right? So I had an inkling the market was going to go up today because World War III, I don't know, how many times have we heard this story already in the last 6 months? 100? And by the way, these people have been fighting for 5,000 years. It's not going to change. Nothing's going to change, right? The only thing we change is this market. So I came in bullish. And I allow chart patterns and VWAP to confirm my bullishness. And by the way, core weave and my friends are still short. I'll give you the trades that we did today. You're going to be outstanding. It's going to be amazing. I should address the core weave because that's one still live for a lot of people right now. We are still short the Qs right now. So, again, we're just waiting for something good to happen. And I think that thing that is good to happen is about to happen right now, my friends. So normally I'm not in positions when I do these midday shows because I'm normally done by 11:15, 11:30, which is another awesome thing about what we try to do, make a day's pay and go away. So I'm going to go back to what we're talking about here, right? So the faux show bro, right? Why is it so important? Because what it does is convinces everybody to join the wrong side of the trade, right? What is the wrong side? Well, the right side was a VWAP break right here, and then it starts to roll over. What's the wrong side? The wrong side is thinking you're going to stay short this market in a perpetual bull market that never ends. So that's my thesis or my inkling or my idea. And right now I'm still short the Qs, and now we're getting paid, right? Still stay short the Qs right now, and I'll show you some levels in a second. We're short the Qs right now. Now we need it to break down. But let me show you why we got long first. And this is perfect timing because we were long the Qs and now we're short the Qs. That's what trading's all about, being able to isolate the idea when it's happening, take as much as you can, realize that trade might be over, and then join the other side. And that's what we've done here. And again, the short's been a pain in the ass, but we're still short. But let me go tell you the long trade first. So here's all the motion of the ocean. This is basically the last 24 hours, right? So the fake out, shakeout, breakout happened last night, which already shows you that the market's already telling you that it wants to go higher. So what's the fake out, shakeout, breakout? You see where the market broke down from and then it came right back out? The market wants to fake you out, shake you out, and then break out. And the reason the trade works so well is that think about what everybody's doing. The longs are getting stopped out, and then it turns. Fear of missing out. They want back in. The shorts, morons that they are, right, sees the stocks break the low of the day, and they go, oh, bear market's back. Oh, bull market's over. Let's start shorting. So everybody right there makes the wrong decision. The longs get stopped out because it breaks the pivot point from the pre-market. The shorts get excited because, ooh, look, it's breaking down. And then it comes right back. So it's a fake out, shake out, and then see where that candle starts to get right back above where it broke down from. We start to buy in this candle because as any trade or any trader knows, what do you need to do? What do you need to know when you're buying a stock? Why am I buying it? Where do I think it's going? Obviously up if you're a buyer. Where do I think it's going? Why am I buying it? Where do I think it's going? And what's the most important part? What if I'm wrong? What am I going to do? Right? And for me, I make these decisions in minutes. I don't got time for that. If I'm wrong, I'm out. Right? That's the difference between me and most traders. And it's taken me a long time to realize that the market's going to be open probably tomorrow and the next day and the next day. If the trade I'm in at the moment isn't cooperating, and it normally does, what do? You sell it. And that's what's great about this trade. So when you got, and by the way, here we go, baby. Stay short the Qs, right? So now we're going to put a bid in because it's coming to the pivot point where it pivoted last time. So our bid is in at 27.66. So we're looking to buy the Qs. Bidding in means you're on the bid, waiting for your bid to get hit to cover some of these Qs because you know that, first of all, you should be surprised if this trade's even working because shorting is illegal in this country right now, right? But we got shorted a pretty decent price. We got the multi-day, we got the 1 minute, and now we're looking to cover because we know that we shouldn't even probably be short because the guy outside my house in a white van, every time I short the market, he's sitting there with a straight jacket on like, what are you doing? Are you shorting the market right now? I am. Because the market told me I could this time. Oh, he's waving the jacket right at me. I know. Just give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 66. We just covered 200 shares right there. All right. Get back in the van. Get back in the fucking van. So now, I'm sorry to jump into a trade, but this is a live trade for me. By the way, we're still long slide, new highs on slide. You want to see some professional trading right here? We're long a stock that's breaking the high of the day, and we're short the market simultaneously. First day here, people. First day here. Whoop, whoop. It's what I do for a living. You think I was going to be able to find a few trades while we're sitting here live? Remember that bullshit history lesson I was giving you? By the way, we just covered some right there. So now that we broke that price, we're looking for this area to get contend with. You see that spot right there? Look at this. And by the way, if you're still short the core weave, yes. I don't even want to talk about the core weave. If you're not short the core weave, you will be. But right now, the short the Q trade, right? All right, hang on a second. Here we go. So now what do? You're finally making money on a short. What do? You cover 40% of it, right? At set 37, 27.66. Bang. Right? Now you're looking for some more. Now we're on the right side. We got him on the run, boys. We got him on the run. So what are we looking? We're going to cover it all right here. Why? You never get out of your entire position at one price, ever. Even when you're losing, you don't. Ever. I'm talking about ever. I don't care if you're losing. You never get out of your entire position at one price. And by the way, if you are in slide right now, I give you permission to sell some at $30.28. Sold to you. 23.28. They just took me in the dark pool. Slide on the way out. 23.28. I just sold 100 shares in between the bid and offer. All right. I didn't mean to make this a whole live trading show, but here we are. Again, both my trades are working. Long on the slide, shorting the Qs simultaneously right in your fucking face. Oh! Right? Come on, who's not short the Qs now? All right, you covered some. So now what do? You're going to let it go ripping against you? Of course not. So now get rid of all these lines because I want to show you exactly what we're going to do. This is what I do every day, all day. This is what I do every day, all day, especially when it's 690 degrees out. I got nowhere to be. So we were long because of the fake out, shakeout, breakout, right? Again, why are we buying stocks? And the reason the faux show bro works so well is because where they fake you out and shake you out, those are your stops. So if you're buying here like we were at 525.95 earlier, your risk is right there where the fake out and the shakeout happened. What I was saying before, and again, I know it's 24 minutes into this program already, right? What I was saying before is any trade you get in, why am I getting in and where am I getting out if I'm wrong? And that's what's great about the faux show bro long trade. So the faux show bro, if you're buying the VWAP break, when you see the faux show bro under the VWAP, 85%, and we have back tested this and channel checked it and whatever kind of check you want, we're coming in around 80% for the last things since '07. And since the last 2 years, when stock has done this chart pattern on an earnings reversal, every single trade has worked every single time. I know that sounds ridiculous, and that's why we do what we do every day live, because when you do 8 of them in a row right in front of you, like, oh, wow, this trade does really work pretty well. You'll see it for yourself right now. And the reason we're still short the Qs, because what goes up must come down. So if you're buying faux show, bro, 1 minute to the multi-day, we got paid. And then if the multi-day, you see how we got to the orange line? That's where we sold most of it, just like any other trade. So if you were still long the Qs, where would you be selling? On the way back down, under prior and under today's VWAP. So why not be savvy and not only get out of your long, but now you're short right in their face? Yeah. Who's short the Qs with me right now? Shut up, guy in the van. So, like I said, I was planning to do a little review with you and give you a couple of trades that we did. Fuck it. We're in these trades now and you're getting paid. First day here. Who's short the Qs? Now what do? Right? So now we got out. Now you're getting out because you got down to the level where you thought. Where we broke out from is where we tested the downside. You better be covering right here at break even. 526.83, covered 100. Covered 200. Right? Cool. Now I'm going to show you something else, something special. If you can't afford to trade the QQQ stock, there's also SQQ, which is you buy. This goes up when the Qs go down. Or my favorite trade, and you probably have heard of them, zero date options, my friends. So right now, the reason we love these things, and if you heard anything negative about zero date options, you heard wrong. It's the #1 invention in the history of day trading, bar none. Because now you're able to trade these monsters like Qs with options instead of, again, not everybody's going to be able to do 600 shares of $500 stock, right? But with options, instead of going for the 529 rollover and shorten the stock at 529, you buy at the money puts. And look at that. When you trade at the money options, you could trade them right with our chart that is showing you the same exact pattern. So this is the 529 put that you're buying right here at 113, and they just hit 260 for over 120% on your money. It's a lot better. I like trading stock because it makes me a little bit more nimble. I can place my stops. When I buy contracts, there's a lot less you can do. But as you join us every morning and every day for the rest of your life, this is all I do. I know where the best stocks of the day are every day. I know which stocks are going to move the best, and I know which ones are ready to be blown the top off and that are capitulating and making good reasons to buy. And what you're seeing here is the core weave. And I'm sorry I didn't scream this one at you too, along with the QQQ, but this is a 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal to the downside on a stock that has hit every target that we thought imaginable. And when you get a stock that gone from 50 to 80 to 120 to 180, usually at 180, you'll find some resistance. And this bad boy has been finding some resistance up at 180. So we wait for the confirmation, right? Again, so go back to this whole thing. I got an idea, right? I got an inkling. I got a suspicion that this stock is going down today. All right, cool. But then if faux show bros, you're not going to be shorting it then, right? No, you're buying, just like we bought the Qs. And now you short the Qs right in the face. Kill it. Same thing with this stock. Core weave is the market. If you haven't noticed this stock, it's an IPO that broke all-time highs. And I won't get into the whole philosophy of IPOs, but the same thing's been working for 30 years. If an IPO gets over 50 during its IPO, it usually goes to 80. If they go to 80, they go to 120. If they go to 120, they usually go to 150. 150 gets you 180. At 180, that's where resistance usually comes in. And you're going to ask yourself, why? I never heard that before. Well, now you have. Because I've been doing this 30 years. And the guy that taught me that had been trading since 1958. His name is Isaac. I'm not sure if he's still alive, but everything he taught me when I was a 23-year-old kid still applies today. Just like that wonderful book about stock reminiscing and something about Jesse Livermore and all those cliches about trading. You know why they all work? Because the stuff is redundant and monotonous and repetitious and repeats and repeats. And your job as a trader, especially when you're trading VWAP, is just to have an idea and let it be validated by the VWAP. So let me show you a couple of trades what we got here. And by the way, I'll go a little bit longer because I got to show you some stuff. And right now we're still short the Qs. So how do you stay a viably consistent trader? Well, if you're short, here's the first rule. Shorting is short-lived and you're going to die, right? So now you should be saying to yourself, I can't believe this trade's even working. Neither can I. But I have to put it on because I got a 1-minute multi-day VWAP break, right? I wasn't planning on shorting the Qs today, but the market told me, hey, buddy, shh, you can embrace your bearishness, but make sure you don't get a little bit overzealous. And that's how I trade. I know that I'm actually surprised that this trade's working, but it is. So I cover some here. And then it gets to this price and it covers some there. Now we call it the Bronx tail trade. Why? Now you can't leave. You know the reference? Now you can't lose. So if you're still short the Qs right now, which I hope for the love of God you are, if you're still short the Qs right now, here's how you do it. I'm going to teach you how to be a consistent trader right now. Lower your stop. It ain't going to last. Anytime you're short a stock, remind yourself, you can't believe this is happening. I'm doing something illegal. Shorting is short-lived, and I'm going to die. And if you keep using that mantra, you'll never be caught short again. Understand that these trades do not work too well anymore. Shorting has been, it's borderline illegal. It really is, right? But that's what's so special about VWAP. We're doing something that's virtually illegal right now, and we're milking it for every penny we can because you cover some here, you cover some here, and now you got to start thinking we're going down to that last pivot point. You see the pivot point right there? Why not believe we're going to test that price? So now what do? You put your bid in. You put your bid in at this price right there. And you sit and you wait. I didn't say it was going to be exciting. There's a lot of sitting around and doing nothing. I make it a little bit exciting because I'm a fun guy to be around, right? But I also, the reason I'm here all day, and if I'm not here, my partner, who's unbelievably awesome at this because all we do is look at the market algorithmically. Nothing changes for us on a daily basis. By the way, you see how I got to my red line? How did I know it was going to go there? Because I'm the best that's ever been. Because my dementia is going to be your profitability in this industry. And I mean it. I've been sitting in front of screens since day one. Since day one! None of this existed before me. Right? You think I should know it by now, right? So what you're witnessing right now, and again, I didn't mean to make this a live, let's short the Qs and make money trading show, but it is. That's trading. You don't know when the trade's going to happen. But when I instill the skill set that you need to become a profitable trader in you, then at any minute, you can say, this is a short. I have limited risk. I should place this trade. I'm on the right side of this trade. And you just covered some at 52.7. I tried 25.50. So now what do? Now that you've covered some more, that's right. 526.76, where you broke down from is now your new stop. You're not going to let the market go up without you covering the rest of what you got, are you? That's irresponsible. So while we're in this trade laughing our asses off because you probably didn't even think it was going to work, right? Mind you, one more time, that we were long slide and short the Q simultaneously. That's savvy shit right there, my friends. That is the savviest you could possibly get. I'm long a trade, making money. By the way, I'm ready to sell the rest of this slide. And we're short the Qs. Now, where do you think the Qs are going? Guess. You see that line that I drew where the faux show bro was? And there it goes. Boom. How's that live trading for you, right? You think this is exciting? It's not. You know why it's not exciting? Because this is what I do every day for 30 years. And then I take my blade out and I parade around the house like I'm Conan now. My wife comes in, oh, what happened? You do a winning trade again? I'm like, yes! Now get into the cave. No, then my wife laughs at me and she says, you're an idiot. All right, now this trade is 80% over. Because why? We just got to the print. That was us covering right there. Did you cover some with me? Of course you did. Because you knew to bid in at the price. 525, 524.57. Come on, people. Now what are you going to do? You're going to lower your stop. Let's go zoom in on the candles that matter now. Where'd we break down from? Kind of right here. So let's get rid of all these lines because we're still live trading short the cues, right? You've covered some at that critical spot. Now we want to break that, but now we lower our stop to 525.85, and now you can't lose. Who's not short the cues? It all rhymes. All right, so while we're still short the cues, I'm sold out of slide. Done. We are out of slide. Profitable trade, no biggie. Wasn't too bad. But the market's getting slammed right now, and we're still short the cues. And the only regret you're going to have is that we covered some. Woo! Live trading, baby. Nobody does it like me. So you think I should be good at this, right? So I've been trading for 30 years of my life. About 5 of those, I'll go 6 of those years, completely fucking didn't know what the hell I was doing. Fighting the world, getting my ass kicked, giving up every penny I ever made 3 different times. So now, all those mistakes and all that idiocracy and all the dumb things that I thought I knew, I know now. I know nothing. It's like rehab. Anybody been to rehab? I don't want to get into that conversation right now, but you've been there. Right? What do they want to do? You got to break. And this is when I hit my bottom. Shorting stocks was my bottom. Getting my ass kicked. I hit my bottom. And then I found VWAP. And VWAP was my savior. Just like rehab, right? They break you down. They make you want to find the Lord or something, right? To save you from yourself. VWAP saves me now from all my bad ideas. Like the idea that I think I'm going to be short all day, right? So now, look what we just did. We just broke the lows of the day and came right back. For all we know is this is the making of a faux show, bro. We're about to rip higher. So how do you prevent that from happening? You guessed it. You leave your stop there. You cover while it's working. You're happy that it worked, right? And now you say, all right, if it breaks back above where it broke down from, I'm going to cut the rest of this trade free. And look at that. Just as you were getting excited about being short, oh, Kenny, where'd that 2-point bounce come from? Because the market never goes down. Every dip's a buying opportunity. That's why when I short stocks, this is how I have to talk to myself. I have to convince myself. And I always have to remind myself, it's not going to stay. You're going to have to get out inevitably. You know you're going to have to get out. And knowing that is important. But take a look at this wonderful trade that we just put on while we were sitting here just getting to know each other, right? Hey, I like this guy. You bought slide and you went short the cues, right? You just made a nice couple of shekels, right? Maybe you made a little bit more than a couple of shekels. If you bought 10 contracts, you just made yourself $1,500, right? And here's the fun part. You're still short the cues. Why? Did it break back over our price? No, we're still short. I didn't cover the whole thing. But I did cover some down there because I'm savvy. And why am I savvy? Price. Why am I savvy now? Because I know I'm a slave to the market mechanics. Stocks go to prices where things happened once before. I got to do something in case it happens again, because often things do happen again. So when stocks get to certain prices, and that's why I use the price itself. The VWAP gets me involved on the right side of the trade, and then I go back to the exact prices. So now I'm saying to myself, man, all right, I covered 75% of my Q short. I'm about to get stopped out, and I don't care. And now it's gone. And now I'm done. Just like that. Look. No, sorry, I had 55. I actually do have 100 left. 85 is the next stop. The little breakdown price right there. So they didn't get me. They'll get me on this next move. And there she goes. All right. For a second there, I thought they were going to get me. I'm out. I'm out of the Qs. That's it. I had a 55 and 85 stop. And that was it. Now I'm done. Now I don't care. And never forget rule number 1. Shorting is short-lived, and you're going to die. But how fun was that, kids? Right? That, my friends, couldn't have went any better, because it shows you that with the skill set and just 2 beautiful lines on your screen and me in your corner, maybe with or without this massive sword. Some people like when I carry the sword as I wander around. By the way, Mr. Sword was my porn name in 92, but we could talk about that some other time. We'll be back on Wednesday. Let me show you a couple of the trades while I got you, right? So speaking of swords, not a fan of hymns. And if you catch the reference swords, hymns, you should get the joke. Now, this stock, I'm not a fan of, right? There are certain stocks that I just have a disdain for. I loathe them, right? And usually that means they're only going to go up, because I'm usually wrong about that. Something about this stock, something about this company, their weird commercials, and the fact that I've tried all their products and they don't work. Ask my wife, and I'm still bald. You get it, right? So this stock, I've just been waiting for them to be investigated. They're a scam. And today, they had some scammy news that the company that they partnered with finally got to see behind the curtain of how scammy they are. And they said, you know what? We're out of here. And they pulled the deal. They walked away. And I think that's about what's going to happen with this whole stock. So again, that's my premise, my inkling, my theory, right? By the way, Qs are green already. Who's covering their lows? Right? So with VWAP, I just look for confirmation of bias, right? You guys still with me? Everybody still with me? Can I get an amen from the guy in the back? You still with me? Huh? Did you short the Qs first day here, right? You're scared, right? You were scared. You didn't trust me, right? Now you know. It's not me, by the way. It's the VWAP. I'm the best tea leaf reader there is. I'm the Matrix. I am the Matrix. But you like that cover, right? Who covered down there at 525 on the way down? Who covered some at 523.85? Huh? Look where the Qs are now. Huh? Did you forget rule number 1? Shorting is short-lived, and you're going to die. And that's why with shorting, you got to cover on the way down. This is how I trade anyway, but you have to cover on the way down and expect to get stopped out. So what made hymns that much more gratifying, if you will, of a short today? Because normally when a stock is down, I'm a reversionary trader. I want to buy the gap down to play the reversion trade to the VWAP. Stocks that are gapped up tend to fade. You ain't fading, you ain't trading. Gapped up stocks tend to get sold. Gap down stocks tend to find some buyers. In this case, I said, nah, screw this stock. But I waited for the confirmation of my negative bias. And that's why I'm still doing this for 30 years. And this is why VWAP is my master. So I missed the short, right? Coming out of the gate, bang, there's the news. But you see where it got hammered? You had a little faux show, but then you got rejected at the blue line. So when the stock reverts to the VWAP, basically it's going there and saying, all right, we stink, but can we get a little bit better here, or are we going to stay stinky for the rest of the day? When you get to the blue line and you can't stay above it, that's the VWAP and the market telling you there's some more sellers out there. Algorithmic. That's all we trade, right? You see one line, orange line, prior day VWAP, blue line was today. Confirmation of weakness right there at 806. I didn't short it. I stink because I missed it. I didn't get my short. Next thing you know, 6-point trade. I'm out. I'm sitting here wanting. Market opens up, starts tanking. Oh my God, look at all this I've missed. But then, see the red line? Where the stock broke down from became this area of concern for me. And simultaneously, you're doing what? What convinced me that the stock would probably be a short all day earlier has now reemerged and said, hey, here's your chance, you nudnik. You wanted to short it. Well, now's your chance. So with any trade, as I was trying to allude to earlier, why am I getting in? What do I think is going to happen? And what am I going to do if I'm wrong? And here's what was wonderful about shorting the stock right here. You see how it double topped at the VWAP and then started to roll over? I short the rollover. So it was basically 47.50 short. And I'm looking at the VWAP and look at this price. Whole number, 48. What price is that? Whole number, 48. What was the VWAP at the time? 48. Where do you think I'm going to cover? And this would be what we call the hard stop. Normally, I don't get out of any position all at one price because you get all these jiggles and you'll get the dips and rips and rolls. It's just best not to get out of your entire position unless it's something so damn specific like a whole number under VWAP. You break that whole number and you go through the VWAP, this stock probably going to rip. So I could say, all right, I'm going to short myself at 47.50 with a 50-cent risk. And what's my target? Well, if you're short, my target's 0. But my first target is just to retrace back to where it came. So here's how we just do risk reward on the fly. I'm shorting here at 47.50. What's my risk? 50 cents. What's my reward? $44. So do some math. 47.50. I'll make it even easier. 47.50 to 44.50. How many points is that? 13, right? 3. What are you risking? 50 cents. 50 cents to possibly make 3 points. Risk reward in your favor? Yeah, put the trade on. Where did it go? 3 points. Bang, cash. So that was one of our trades, and look what happened again. So again, you're gonna see how redundant and monotonous it is because I even use the same phrases over and over again. Revisit. You're gonna see these things replicate, and you're going to have chances to revisit. So after I got out of this trade, what did it do? It showed and starts to bro, but then it just did the same thing it did earlier. So if you were sitting there going, oh man, I really wish I would have shorted this here. Well, guess what, friends? VWAP's telling you, hey, risk reward is back in your favor because you could short up here again, knowing that if it breaks over the VWAP, you're going to get the hell out. And if it rolls, you're probably going to go retest those lows. If not, go lower. Did I do this trade? No. But I was pretty damn content shorting the stock. And what I loved about the hinge trade, right, is it flies in the face of my normal trade. I love buying gap down stocks when they break over VWAP because the shorts are generally on the wrong side. And in this case, I hate the stock. I had reasons to short it. And the VWAP kept telling me, yeah, you're right. Stick with it. So while I got you here, like I said, I could keep going forever. Let's talk about the core weave, right? Now, I got my son trading now. Say hello to him. He'll be on the program sooner or later. We're calling him the machine. Now, why? Why are we calling him the machine? Because the only way to beat the machine, which is the matrix that we trade, is to be the machine. You want to beat the machine, you got to be the machine. And algorithmic trading around VWAP and price is the machine. That is how you fight this market. And again, I look at everything as a fight. We're an arena. We're gladiators. Whatever you think. We're hunters. We're fishermen. There's a battle going on every day, right? We're in an arena. We're looking to win. We're looking to thwart our enemies, or whatever the word is. So with core weave, right, my idea was I'm looking to short the stock today because it's in the 180s. I'm just thinking it could easily pull back to 160, maybe the 150. That's my idea. That's my thinking. That's my inkling. That's my notion. That's my stupid idea. If anything's short, it's usually a dumb idea. And then right out of the gate, the machine is shorting this thing because what happened? It broke VWAP and prior day VWAP. There you go. Within 2 minutes of the opening, right at the open, the stock's confirming your idea. Do it. And then what happens? You got paid. Now, when it hit the VWAP, what I just teach you, if it hits the VWAP from underneath and gets rejected, usually going to go down more. And then it hits it again and goes down more. But then here's what happens. That last time it broke. The short's over. Not only is the short over, but you could possibly go long. And look at that beautiful trade. Cover your short on the way down. No reason to cover yet. No reason to cover. Now it broke VWAP. You have to cover. Gets the prior day VWAP. The long trader, even like we did with the Qs, we were long the Qs, then we got short. And now it's got back to the prior day VWAP. But now look what happened. And this is why I love the idea of revisiting a trade, especially one that you've made money on. That means you're in the ebb and flow of the day, right? All right, I shorted it once. I got out at a good price, and then it rallied. It was a great time to cover. So then you sit there and you stalk it. Right? Remember, hunters, fishermen, right? What do I do? If you want to equate this to hunting, I'm giving you the deer scent, the best bullets. I'm bringing to you where the biggest bucks are. I'm setting you up. I'm even bringing lunch. You guys know about deer scent. We're all getting. Well, I'll give you some face paint. You want to get crazy like my cousin? He thinks he goes deer hunting. He's in a war. He's got deer scent. Guy pulls over on the side of the road, scrapes up roadkill, brings it to the camp. He's like, no, dead animals attract the deer. I'm like, okay, this is insane. Full face paint. He's up in a freaking thing that he built in the tree, covered in deer. Anyway, you get it. This whole thing that we do here, the Sting of Oz that we got, there's mechanics, there's rules. And this VWAP and prior day VWAP show you the way. This is algorithmic trading at its best, and it's simplifying it because we understand that the market is basically all one big algorithm now, right? So now I just spoiled the surprise, but you know what happened here. Rejected at prior day VWAP is pretty damn important also, especially on a stock that you think has got some more selling. So you got short once, there was a decent long idea, but then you think if you were on the other side of the trade, what would you be doing? You'd be selling out because it broke the VWAP, and now it's breaking that range. So why not short the stock again? And what was nice about this trade was that these pivot points are your outs. So any trade you get into, you're a shorter on the rollover. This prints one stop, second prints prior day VWAP, third stop high of the day. So you have your complete trade right there in front of you. Why you're buying, why you're shorting it, right? It's confirming your narrative, if you will, or your idea. And look what this thing did. And again, I'm embarrassed to say I wasn't even in this because I was just, I had other trades going on. And that is what I'm going to leave you with. Every day I'm here, usually from about 8:30 in the morning. Each day you're going to get a list of stocks, the ones that I believe are going to be the ones that are in play, like the slide today. Now that people even know that stock exists. The slide, the core weave. You guys know about Circle, right? You guys know about SRAD? Well, you should. SRAD. You know about NVTS? You should. How about ASTS? Straza has been talking about this. We've been talking about the stock since its all-time high break. Straza was bringing it to you on the 25. If you don't know who Straza is, you should know who Straza is. We'll have him on the show. Sooner or later, we're going to have some guests on here. We're going to do a lot with this midday show. I didn't really want it to become we're shorting the Q show, but that's how we're going to roll. If there's a trade that's happening while we're doing this review show, I'm going to trade live instead. I hope you don't mind. I want to make money first and review second. I hope you don't mind. I hope you do, guys. If you took either one of those trades, they both worked out pretty nicely. And again, I sold the rest of my slide and it didn't go down. So if you're still in this one, let me show you. If you're still in it, and I'm going to show you why I bought it in the first place, right? So here's the faux show bro. I missed the first move. Comes under the VWAP. I missed the second move. So I was like, okay, cool. If it does it again, I'm in. So I buy it here, 22.56, and starts to roll over. And I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm wrong. But I'm not going to admit that I'm wrong until it breaks back below the prices where it held earlier. So in this move, I was like, oh man, this one ain't working out too well. And then faux show back above VWAP and starts to go. So I buy more. gets to the orange line, why I sold it. Blue line to orange line, you always want to take some profit. And now it's consolidating right at the orange line. That's bullish. So the people that are still long this trade, the pivot points basically are slightly above VWAP. So yeah, use the 2287 and the 2268 as an out. Again, this is a little bit difficult to trade this stock because there's not that much volume. You want to trade stocks that are a lot more volume, like a HIMS. But let me show you this wonderful trade on NVTS that we did, and then I'm going to leave. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I could just, like I said, I could talk forever. I love this stuff. I love showing people new tricks. I love showing people the manipulation, and I love showing you these trades today are so damn significant that you might not even understand how significant these trades are. So let me explain. The reason this is so significant is that this trade was a long first, and then obviously became a short. And that's why when you're a trader and you sometimes hear me doing commentary, me specifically, if I do a morning show, if I'm on, with stock market guys and the stock market media guys, sometimes I'm on with my friend Joel and Dennis Stick with their show and the pre-market prep. Sometimes I'm doing something with Stock Twits, and you hear blah, 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 blah. I'm thinking about doing, or I'm doing this. That trade could work for an hour and a half of the day. But if you let this thing roll over and die, and then you want to point at the guy from the TV guy said it was going to go up today. It did go up. And you let this trade become a loser, you're the loser. So let me go through this one. And again, this is NVTS. This is one of the stocks that I do own. Talking my book. Still own it. Still like it. Still think it's going to 11. Didn't sell it. But the day trade portion of the stock is done. So I try to keep my day trade and my swing trades and my investments completely separate. But sometimes they overlap. And them overlapping is good, because I know I'm staying focused. And I know that I could short a stock that I own. And that's good. And a lot of people don't understand that. What are you talking about? How do you short a stock that you own? I own it over there in my wife's retirement plan. Here, if I see an orange blue line break, I'm shorting the shit out of it. But before we go there, let me show you how awesome this trade was this morning, right? So each day, like I said, you're going to get my go-to names, which stocks are on my list. NVTS has been a go-to trade for us for now 3 weeks. There's a rumor that's going on that NVIDIA might actually buy them out. I don't want to spread rumors. I didn't just say that out loud. SEC, I am not spreading rumors. I just read it online. So let's go back to, you like the stock, you're thinking about buying it, let the VWAP confirm your bias. So what do we see here? I'm thinking we see a faux show, right? And now what's amazing, what's so nice about this one is that you got the fake out, you got the shakeout, you got rejected at the VWAP, but you never went back to the shakeout area, which then creates what we like to call the little W pattern, or as we call it in the world of Hit the Bid, the Kardashian bottom. Again, this is a very small Kardashian bottom. They want the bigger the butt cheeks, bigger the break, but big enough. Because the faux show, bro, you got rejected at VWAP, then you broke VWAP, and you broke over that attempt from earlier, buy it. So we bought the stock right here, 675. Now, with any other trade, right? Let me just go over it quickly with you. And this is why we're so special. Small bus special, some say. But here's the thing. Whatever trade you put on with us and what you're going to do in the future, why am I buying it? And what am I doing if I'm wrong? Remember, it's not pessimistic to think you're going to be wrong. It's prudent. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Plus, I have a Jewish mother, so I was born a pessimist, and everything's going to go wrong for me at every minute. And it's not a bad way to live. If you assume nothing's ever going to work out for you, you're legitimately pleasantly surprised when things work out. Wow, I didn't think that was going to work out. It's amazing. It's not a bad way to live. Trust me. So here you go. And by the way, is anybody still short the Qs? Because you got a new reason to short them. I'm out. I'm out of all those trades. I'm not short the Qs anymore or long slide. I am fliznat right now, flat, right? So now I could just give you some review. But again, this is what I do every day. Faux show on a stock that I like. I'm interested. VWAP break. So now if I'm buying the stock, the faux and the show are your stops. That's what's so lovely about this trade. So I'm buying this break right here. This is my candle. I'm in right here. I'm buying 73, 74. Pivot point. What is the pivot point? 666, the number of the beast. 666 and the low of the day. Voila. You've identified risk. So if you're buying 3,000 shares is what we normally do with 10 stocks under 10, or most of our defaults, 3,000 shares. It's not a bad place to start, 3,000 shares. 1,500 stop here, 1,500 there, because we don't let stocks break lows of the day with us still being in them. So we know where our out is. And we also, lovely enough, we have that pivot point from this morning and the prior day VWAP. So in that moment right there, we had why we're buying it, what we're risking, and where we believe it can go. And damn, got paid, right? So we're selling. What? Did you sell it all at one price? No, because the stock hadn't even gone green yet. So now we're thinking 1 minute, multi-day reversal. The reversal part was what we were kind of really waiting for. We want to see when the stock goes green, because remember, NVTS was red this morning, right? So when a stock goes green, that's another visceral moment for the market. Oh my God, the stock was just red. Now it's going green. The shorts don't want to see that. The longs are like, yeah, our stock's going green. Let's buy more. The shorts are like, oh no, I can't believe it's going green. Let's cover. It's a visceral moment. We're already in. The VWAP and the algos are kicking in also. 1 minute over prior day VWAP, over the pre-market highs. Who's not buying? We bought more. I bought it, I had sold some and then I bought it back. 693, 694, 695, 696, even bought 698 just to help it get through the 7. And then whoosh, old school trading. You guys remember 1/8 of a point? Sadly, I sold most of it $7.12. Why? Because $7 stocks typically still move in 12.5% increments, if you guys remember your 1/8 of a point from math. So it went from 7.12. I sold majority at 7.12. I'm not going to bullshit you. At 7.25, I'm still selling. And then at 7.25, at 7.30, I'm thinking what? I'm thinking 7.32. Remember, 1/8 of a point. And I'm thinking 7.50 easy. And then it starts to roll over. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to get all nervous about it. All right, it broke 7.25. Oh, God. All right, then it broke down to 7.12. Trade's over. So now I'm out of the trade, right? Why? Because where I sell on the way up is where I sell on the way down if it rolls. And then it rolls. And then the roll became a short setup. So why not be savvy as fuck, right? And short it, right? I got no allegiance. I got no affinity. These are just inanimate objects. If the trade's going to set up, I don't care if I think the stock's going to 11. I just made money on the long. I still got it in my swing trade account. I'm long the stock. I still think it's going to 11. Over the next, 6 months, a year, however long it takes. I think it's going to 11, maybe 15. But I'm not going to deny myself a payday when you're breaking back below a triple top break, multi-day VWAP. Why not give it a shot? So I'm short in 694, and the prices where I was selling on the way up are now my stops, because if I'm short in 694, I'm certainly not letting it go back above 712 without covering my short, let alone 725. So what was up is now down, and then it breaks the VWAP, and right here, where it got back to the pivot point, covered most of it, and then it rolled, and then what are we looking for? We're looking at 650, and by 650, I'm pretty much done. 650, lovely trade, gone, over. Down a little bit more after I got out, but back to 650, rinse and repeat. So one more trade I'm going to show you, because I love showing this stuff. And if Stephanie's watching, hi Stephanie, if you can bottle up what we just showed you. So ASTS, and again, why is it a long trade right now? I'll show you in a second. But ASTS, right? I mentioned that one. Now you're starting to see how every chart looks kind of the same. Breaks down, breaks a new low, then breaks VWAP and goes. Fake out, shake out, VWAP break, gone. And then, as my son was trading this one, lovely, made some money, new trader. Where did he get stopped out? Finally got stopped out of the rest when it broke back under prior day VWAP. He didn't want to see that happening, nor did we think. Once we held it here, we thought we were good. And then the stock told us we're not good. So we sold it. But then, look what it did. Right? So imagine my son still long the stock. One of his last stop would have been VWAP. And then these pivot points, right? Let me get rid of all the red lines. I want to show you the new trade. Right? So this is what we call the revisit. And this is why I love this game so much. And that's why I love this market right now, because it is so fluid. There is something going on almost every time frame. I mean, after 11:15, we used to sit there and legitimately fall asleep at the desk. You'd go from 11:30 to 12 to 2:30 in the afternoon. You know, the market's still open? And then maybe you'd get some activity at 3. We are active all day now. Since COVID, greatest pandemic ever, by the way. Since COVID, trading has been back in a big way, and it hasn't stopped. So knowing that the activity is still there and the chart patterns keep replicating, and you love ASTS and you missed this wonderful move this morning, what do you see right there? Faux, where it breaks that low. Remember, stops would be placed here and it held here, starts to rally. Where do they place stops? At the rally point. And then it broke there, and then it came right back. Kind of faux show broad twice. See, it breaks the low, comes right back, breaks low, comes right back. Then it breaks VWAP. So the reason I love this trade so much is that it identifies your risk immediately. If you're buying the VWAP break at 46.12, the faux and the shows are your stops if you're wrong. And let's go back to the first couple of comments that I made when I joined you here at 12. Every trade you put on, what do you want to know? Why am I buying this? What am I doing if I'm wrong? And where do I think it's going? VWAP and the faux show bro do it all. And then you got me there, and you got our algo, and you got VWAP, and you got me, and then it becomes very redundant. And I always know which stocks are the best. I'll show you a little magic trick. I don't want to show you everything on the first day. Whoop, you see that? Bang. Can't see it now. Whoop, see it. Whoop, can't see it. You want to see something else? Woo, wait, hang on. Oh, whoa, what's that? Oh, whoa, what's that? You wish you knew. The more you get to know me, you'll see. And I will do you a favor before we go. I will give you one hint. It's about scanners. And I am also known as Scan Man. Sorry. Now you know, people, my secret identity. I wasn't going to give it to you till like week 3, but I just can't resist, especially because I have my own cartoon. So hang on, let me get this stuff back up for you and lower the volume here. So let me surmise it, even though we were supposed to do this in a half an hour. I am Scan Man. Okay. What started as a joke, it's not a joke. There's hundreds and thousands of scanners out there, right? And a lot of them are for sale. And most of them do the same thing. Trust me, I invented them. I am Scan Man. I have the scanners that I know do what you need, right? And when I have these scanners, coupled with the idea that VWAP and the market is rigged, it's very hard to fail. All right? And I'll leave you on that because we got a lot to talk about, and we'll see you next week. And thanks for joining us. And I hope to see you again, and then again and again. All right? Peace. I need an outro now. Just end the stream. See ya.